Hi there, my name is Kay Moon and I'm a twin flame channel and Western astrologer. And this video is about the Virgo New Moon taking place on September 14th at 9:39 p.m. if you happen to be on the eastern seaboard of the United States. This particular video recording is about the twin flame lunar update, or the lunar update for twin flames. Quick announcement, the reading calendar is definitely open if you'd like to book some time to have a reading. Between now and whatever, I'd love to chat with you. I'm really looking forward to being able to talk to some of you guys about manifestation, because this is a major moment of manifestation, specifically in connection, yes, but in life, generally speaking, as I talk about in the Lightworker Lunar Update. And so if you'd like to book, the link to do that is below, kmoonastro.com. Over in the Lightworker Energy Update, I also provided something called First Look. If you're new here, that's where I look at the lunation ahead of this one and talk to you about how the energy is progressing from here to there. Okay, let's get into the new moon in Virgo. I want to provide a small caveat with this new moon in Virgo. The thing about Virgo that I love, and I know a lot of you all appreciate as well, is that Virgoan energy comes with a ton of responsibility and accountability and capacity to discern details and to see things quite clearly. This particular new moon in Virgo, as I was doing the research and prep to share the intel with you, it became exceedingly clear that this new moon was going to provide a little bit of a clarion call. Perhaps it might sting if you don't like where you are in connection and you haven't been able to figure out the way into what's next or how to get to a better place. And so I want to say, take it in doses as you can, but I will also say, if you don't like where you are this particular new moon, if you're willing to sit in the truth of what's being revealed for you personally, all of us have different truths about why we are in the place we are in connection. If you're willing to sit in the truth of it, you're going to find that there's harnessable, leverageable, energetic power you can use to get your car to a better destination rather rapidly. Full timelines laid out in the Lightworker Energy Update. I won't be going into all the timelines here because they apply to the collective, not just to twin flames. Okay, let's get into it. Here is our Virgo full moon, new moon, sitting right there at the 21st degree of Virgo. And it is providing for us an opportunity to have a lot of changes in the third dimension because of the aspects she is making that full moon to Uranus, divine change maker in Earth sign 3D, Taurus, and Pluto, Ender, and ruler of the resurrection and completion cycles in Earth sign Capricorn. Okay. For reasons fully described in that Lightworker Energy Update, Jupiter is involved here. There's just so much capacity for transformation and change. Neptune's involved as well. It's just major, 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 major shifting going on. Okay. Based on manifestation work we put in during the springtime. So hope you probably remember, if you were here with me around that period of time, we talked a lot in the Lightworker Energy Updates about the importance of really utilizing this particular first 4 months of this year to call in what you want, name it and claim it, be really clear, put your attention, energy, and time into watering it so that it could come fully into form. I drilled on this because the energy was really reflective of preparing to step into something completely new at the beginning of this year. Then as we got to the midpoint of this year, we had a lot of conversations about how to let go of the old, because the old was going to show itself in relationship to the new beginning in May as wanting to hold on to what was. And you would need to make some very specific decisions to pull your life into alignment with your newness and release your identification with what was falling away. Now, Hopefully you don't just watch the twin flame lunar update, because I may see and declare, oh, there's movement going this way or that way in the twin connection. But the instructions to be in alignment with the actual unfoldment is always over in the Lightworker energy update for the full collective, because we're part of the collective, right? And so over there will always be the foundation of having said movement happen for you. Otherwise, you may find yourself listening and waiting for things to happen to you in your connection instead of listening and working on things to happen through you in your connection. And I really want to be clear, like, if you want to be in union with your counterpart, I really do believe you can. I don't think that there's anything. I mean, I think I probably used to really believe, some kind of like way in which you may not be able to pull it off. Something could thwart it. But the further I've gone into my journey and the more and more I've surrendered to love, the clearer I have become that there's an unstoppability to this particular kind of love, an inevitability to it when it is paired with faith and action from both counterparts. There's nothing that stops it. So, yeah. And this year in particular, the more I've looked at the transits and all of the stuff that's been going on in the sign of Aries, where the counterparts met up earlier this year, the clearer it became. What we act on is what we get. What we don't act on, we get the result of not acting, right? Because Aries specifically deals with action. And so if you have not, at this particular lunation, already listened to the Lightworker energy update, my invitation to you is to pause this, come back to it. Listen to the Lightworker energy update first and then return here, as it will help you set your connection up for major positive movement in 2024. But the opening for that movement amplifies right now in 2023. And it started back in April and May and June of this year. But the place where I have been providing the instruction has always been in the Lightworker energy update. And that's where you want to be able to make sure you get, okay, this is how I do this, instead of just kind of waiting for things to happen to you. In that update, I break down the timeline, the key dates, and the instructions for how to use the energy constructively in connection and with our money and career. Now, for our extended conversation regarding the counterparts in this particular energy at this particular new moon, we have Jupiter in direct conversation with the new moon. So we'll deal with Jupiter and our divine masculine energy fields first. If you're new, welcome. I read divine masculine and feminine as energy, not people, since we all have both energies. Now, divine masculine energy conjunct Uranus in Taurus. This is a big deal. Here's Jupiter conjunct Uranus in Taurus. It is trine the new moon over here in Virgo. It is square Juno conjunct Venus here in Leo. And it is trine the Mercury that is retrograde, soon to go direct. I believe that is September 15th, if I recall, don't quote me. This is an influx of new beginnings and positive energy coming with third dimensional changes in our divine masculine energy fields. Here's change. And then whenever we have the counterparts in a squaring position or opposition, there's also change as well. There's some sort of tension that leads to transformation. Okay. There is an opportunity in this to revisit, review, elevate areas we began shifting back in the early summer and late spring in connection. And in some cases, those areas shifted on their own as we outgrew them. So we would have seen things affiliated with our outward projecting activity, things like work, money, projects in the third dimension. We would have seen changes with regard to these in our life from May and June, that period of time, all the way through now. Now, at this new moon, we have opportunity to push or move things in our third dimension toward the directions we want and desire, as Taurus is the sign of desire where our divine masculine energy sits. Virgo, as a mutable sign, deals with decisions. I don't know why it keeps doing that. There we go. Virgo, as a mutable sign, deals with decisions that lead to shifting states in the 3D. Now, you could be seeing a lot of moving in your counterpart's life at this time, a lot of movement, whether you're in separation or in union, most of it very positive. Life is beginning to align with your requested and highest outcomes. And there can be a lot of optimism here with Mercury trine Jupiter. And because both are in earth signs, it's really important to think it and then speak it in order to see it inform Mercury rules consciousness. Okay. It's funny because there were a few endings that took place in my life in the last, I'd say maybe 3 weeks, circumstances or situations where kind of structured relationships, like let's just say, for example, a dentist and somebody, oh yeah, there were some people I worked with to perform some services in my house, and I'd worked with them for a long time. But during this particular period of time, for reasons having to do with their business and where they were at, and things having to do with me and what I needed, working with them no longer continued to be a match. And it was sad and a little bittersweet because I really liked working with these people, but it wasn't going to work. I had outgrown what they could provide, and their business was moving in a new direction. Ending, transition, alignment with up level. I did end up during this time getting a new house services people that perform the same service for my house that the other people performed, but I could no longer work with. And what was unique and fascinating about it was these people who wanted to perform this service actually came in at a better price, and they wanted to do something more personalized for me. And I didn't, at first I was like, I don't know how to receive this. I don't know how to let you do this for me. I'm used to, doing more, being more responsible, like having to do more of this before people come, you know. And they were like, no, 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 no. Please just let us do what we do and it'll be fine. I was like, oh, okay. And so I had to up level, grow into having more of the desires of my heart met. And life took care of the ending for me. And so you may find circumstances like that unfolding for you. There are certain endings because it's time for you to just up level into the next thing. Okay. It's important to understand that anything that you're seeing at this time is in fact for your benefit. If there's any changes that are feeling a little bit uncomfortable, it is in fact trying to help you. That's what Jupiter and Uranus are up to over here. Okay. Now let's deal with the square to Venus and Juno over here in Leo. This is interesting because it makes Jupiter's energy fortunately fortified in collaborative endeavors, right? But it also calls for creativity in figuring out how to make it align in connection. Okay. This is an aspect of tension. Juno, being our divine feminine energy, can foster a period where if she's in square to the divine masculine energy in counterpartships, it can foster a period of time where it takes extra effort to get on the same page. Okay. So for those identifying as coming into union, this may present some form of third dimensional challenges with the square angle to make it work, either distance or desires for things that run counter to the connection stabilizing. So with the Virgo new moon, Virgo, all about decisions and discernment, you'll need to work together to figure out what can work for you. There's a resource from a couple that does really good work around this. Alexandra Jameson and Bob Gower, they have a book called Getting to Hell Yes. And in that book, it's a very short read. It's like 30 pages. It's very short, is a negotiation framework for how to have conversations that feel confronting or challenging about topics that have consequence. Both parties work through a personalized framework. They ask themselves 4 or 5 questions, then they share their answers with one another. And in sharing those answers to one another, with one another, they have the opportunity to co-create a solution that works best for them. I ended up recommending that several times this week for clients, including couples that had shown up for couples readings with me in session in the last week. And so I leave it here for you because I can definitely see in the astrology, there's going to be a need for being willing to be flexible, be creative, negotiate, but also be really transparent and vulnerable. Hey, this is like my absolute need on this. And this is what I feel really flexible about. And not just give in to the other person and not just ignore the other person either to get your own way. There's a need to bend and flex with this and negotiate constructively. And so I really like their framework. You don't even have to get the book. They lay the framework out on YouTube and several different interviews. Like I said, the book is called Getting to Hell Yes. I'll see if I can link it below this video, one of the videos that they have about it, because it'll help you if you're really struggling right now in connection. And so, yeah, it'll make that framework will make it easier to land in the same place. And I'll say the same, that kind of tension where it's like, ooh, my life wants to do this and you're doing that. How do we get on the same page? That could also be playing out for everyone who's in some format of union too. There's just enough struggle with the alignment and congruence between the two when there's a square, which there is right now. There's just enough struggle when there's a square so that a quick and easy tool that may help facilitate constructive conversations where there has been gridlock to start bringing third dimension into alignment for both people. Okay. Now, for those of you identifying in some form of separation, you may find that at this time, your lives are pulling you in very different self-enhancing directions. And it would be easy to allow that to deepen the experience of separation unconsciously or effortlessly. And that's fine if separation is what you are choosing. Like I actually do not choose to be with this person. I actually choose something different. But if you're not choosing it, then this could be a problem. If what you're wanting is a union path, the access through this particular new moon is in initiating communication. Divine masculine being an initiation energy, communication being Jupiter speaking to the divine masculine, Mercury speaking to the divine masculine. Mercury deals with communication. Mercury is not speaking to our divine feminine energy. So it comes through our divine masculine energy to initiate. Again, I read these as energies, not people. So don't wait for somebody to initiate, okay? Just because of their gender. Now, with Mercury retrograde, this is a wonderful time to open up communication, specifically with an apology or making amends for past stuff, and ask for clarification on past matters that could bring peace, healing, and understanding, and harmonize you both being on the same page. Okay. Like I said, don't wait for somebody based on their gender. If you know you need to offer amends, offer amends. Cool? Cool. Now, if you know you need a reading to talk about some of this and where you're at in connection and your access points to connections through your own chart, you can always book a personal reading with me over at K Moon Astro, and we can look at the open love windows in your chart personally for the remainder of this year and getting into 2024. Link to kmoonastro.com is just below this video as well. Let's look at this new moon through the lens of the divine feminine energy field. Here she is at the 15th degree of Leo. And we see that she is conjunct Venus, who is finally done being retrograde. And Venus sitting with her, right? Venus sitting with her is throwing magnetics in the field of the connection itself. So I mentioned it at the last lunar update that the connection itself will be particularly pulling or the magnetic or drawing or tugging at you at this point in time. And then I saw some people get in the comments and say things like, oh my God, I know they're drawing at my energy. They're sucking at my energy. That's why I cut them off. Guys, let's clarify some spiritual principles here about the way the connection works. I want to really clarify what I meant because I think I could have been clearer. And I know if I stay clear as Venus and Juno travel together, and you take on this clarity for yourself, you won't miss an opportunity for coming together, which this is. It's a total opportunity for coming together. Let me clarify. Okay. It's not the other person. It is what I said. It is the connection that is doing the pulling. And the connection is their energy and responses to the connection plus your energy and responses to the connection. Okay. Now, some people will say, yes, they're pulling at me. They're the ones teaching me. They're my teacher. My twin is teaching me. They're the ones doing, no. They are just theming. They're just being themselves. What's teaching you, what's opening us, what's enlightening us is not the other person. It's our own spirit's response to the alchemical and technical, like neurochemical experience of love. If we put it on another person, we're going to miss it and always feel victimized by the connection, never empowered by it. And so when we say, oh, yeah, they are pulling on my energy, now with your consciousness in mind, you've created tacit agreement for energetic vampirism and your own victimhood in that. But when you understand it as the connection itself is magnetizing me to it, now you can have a look and say, what am I to learn? And why am I to learn it? And what is the connection asking me for? There's opportunity for elevation here with Venus magnetizing Juno, Juno representing the field of the connection itself in many ways and the divine feminine energy. Okay. The energy and the alchemy that you two make up is its own thing. And people can see it between the two of you. For those of you who have had opportunity to be in the same room together with other people at the same time, nobody looks at y'all and says, oh yeah, they're pulling on you. Oh yeah, you're pulling on that. That's not what's happening. People are just noticing between the two of you, there's this, it's its own vibe, it's its own connection. And that's what's happening at this full moon or this new moon and the last full moon. And it will continue to happen. We got, I think, at least one more lunation where Venus and Juno are rocking together in harmony with Jupiter in the square position. Okay. Which is challenging, but there's opportunity for growth. And so the energy is placing a demand on the receptive side of ourselves, and that's Juno. The connecting side of ourselves, that's Juno. The energy of the lunation, since Venus has popped into her field and is speaking to him. Okay. Yes, very magnetic. Those of you who are identifying in the polarity of divine feminine energy. And long term, I just also want to just make a quick point. If you're striving for union energy, what you're looking for is to be in internal harmony with your internal masculine and feminine, not polarized masculine and feminine. You want unionized masculine and feminine internally. And so this is why I constantly remind you guys, we all have both energies, because the more you stand in the union energy within, the easier it is to cultivate it on the outside, instead of identifying as I'm the feminine and they're the masculine. You can do it that way. I have seen, certainly there are times and seasons in our life where, for whatever lessons or whatever leadership we are here to get or give, yeah, you might find yourself in a polaric energy, but long term, we all need to evolve into a place of unionized, harmonized, internal masculine and feminine energy, not one or the other. Okay. Okay. So just a second aside. I've talked about this a lot in previous years. I haven't touched on it a lot this year. Okay. But because now Juno has jumped into the divine feminine energetic field, there's a magnetization in the connection that's causing the connection itself to pull at both people and pull each people toward it. Okay. And this is an invitation to up-level our ability to have more and be more when it comes to our self-love, because that's where Juno is sitting. Leo, self-sovereignty, and our self-love in relationship to the connection. So some of you may remember, a very esoteric commentary I've got going on here today, but some of you may remember from last year that I drew y'all a picture of how this looks. I'm going to draw it again for you. Okay. Now there's you. Hi. This is my finest Picasso. This is your hair. It's really cute. And that's your smile. You've got a great smile, just in case you didn't know. Nobody told you today. That's your smile. And then there's them. This is their hair. They've got really good hair too. I really like their hair. And they too have a lovely smile. I don't know where they got it from. Maybe their mama. All right. Now there's the two of you. There's all of their energy and reactions to the connection over here. So that's supposed to be a circle. I'm trusting y'all just dig it. And then here's you and all of your energy and all of your reactions to the connection. Okay. And then there's this space in between here. Okay. This space where there's overlap between you and them, that, my friends, that's the connection. Okay. It's your stuff plus their stuff. This is the thing that is magnetizing y'all. Okay. This third energy entity right here, that conglomeration of energetics. Now, I drew y'all another fabulous picture last year. Let's just undo this a little bit. Okay. Now there's you and there's them and there's the connection. Frequently, when you meet someone who is your counterpart, or you get, massively triggered by, activated by when it comes to love, the two of you have some cleaning up to do. There are some experiences from your past, from their past, your childhood, their childhood, your exes, their exes. There are some experiences where maybe they got bullied as a kid, rejected as an adult. They had a divorce that went real ugly, right? You've had, several people cheat on you. You've got, some history of infidelity yourself, right? All of these, y'all gotta love my Picasso here. These bricks are the blocks that are literally sitting inside the connection. Come on now, work with me. All right. So there's all that overlap. It's supposed to be overlapping circles, but you get the idea. And so what happens is we get these moments in time. Astrologically, this is one of them where the connection is all charged up with some magnetics. We've got all of our past baggage up in here between and sitting inside of the connection. And what goes on is we get these astrological moments where life and the universe and the energy just pushes us toward the connection. And the connection itself just magnetizes us toward it. Little magnets, like that's supposed to be a magnet. And that's the sound a magnet makes. I hope y'all are really loving my attempt to really explain this here. What is happening when we have these astrological moments where we feel the connection pulling us, right? We feel a particular magnetics in the connection. What is going on is that the connection is saying, hey, there's all this love here. If y'all could just get these blocks out of the way, we could have the most fun in the world. I'm going to need you to deal with the blocks on your side. I'm going to need you to come and face and look at and deal with the different blocks that you've brought to the party and start taking them down one by one. So what are the blocks? What are your blocks? And I already know some of you are thinking, K Moon, I don't have any blocks. Like I have worked and worked and worked on my healing. It is them. Well, blocks can be many varying shapes and sizes. I have an absolute freebie for those of you who believe that they are pulling and they have all the blocks. Now, I not be able to name every single block for every single person. For some of us, it takes years. K Moon, looking at you to see where we're blocked, myself included. But I can fast track in this conversation those of you with that statement who have been thinking it's really not me, it's them. They're the one who put all the stuff there. They're the ones that have been pulling on the connection, and they have been the ones that pulling all the stuff. Let me fast track you because I can help you guys the most. The number one block for those of you who feel like they're the ones pulling on the connection and you have done all this work and they have done none. And it's going to sting, but I promise you it's going to set you free. It's a lack of accountability and responsibility for what you're bringing into connection in thought, word, or deed. It's walking in no creative authority with your own influence on the situation. And this is how we end up hopeless, abandoning the connection, walking away, blocking and cutting people off, getting a million readings and someone to look at their chart, their energy, do healings on them, fix them, even showing up on my channel, listening to only the twin flame reading, never doing the light worker post, because you'd rather read energy than step up and influence and create energy by first dealing with the blocks on your own side of the street, to love, to connection, to union, to marriage. We all have blocks to these things. I've only ever read for one person in all of my years of reading whom I could look at their chart and say, wow, you've had a really wonderful childhood and you are really encountering how effed up people can be who didn't have your parents. Like you're really going to have to learn to take it a little slower with humans because not everyone was raised like you. One person. So I say all of that to say we all have some stuff and we got like layers of it in such a way that we can move, we can deal with the blocks, and then we have to deal with stepping into creative authority. Because once you take all your blocks down, right, on your side of the street, let's just say all your stuff is done, then you can get in creative authority and influence around making sure that blocks are getting removed in totality from both of you. And if you've already done the first part, it's time to step into the second part. Okay. And for some of us, like I said, it could be some childhood stuff. It could be needing to get to financial sovereignty so that, you can be a partner to your counterpart instead of needing them to be a parent to you. For others of you, it's dealing with a health issue so that you're not looking to them to be a caretaker. You're coming to them as an able equal, right? To the best of your ability, your God-given ability. For some of us, it's sexual trauma that we've let fester here in between the two of us. I don't know what your blocks are, but with this kind of energy, if we stop, turn, and face the connection, not them, the connection, the answer will be right there in front of us. And for some of you, you've even had the benefit, and I really want you to hear what I'm saying. You've had the benefit of your counterpart telling you what the issue is. You're too critical or judgmental. They feel never good enough for you. Every time you talk to them, you want to coach, correct, or criticize them. You're too all up in these streets. Every time they talk to you, you're trying to motivate them to do something through fear of losing you to Tom, Dick, or Harry, because you can't be alone. None of that is love. So they have reflected it back to you. And if that has been a reflection back to you, those are two examples out of numerous or infinite. Good. Because now you don't have to guess where to start. Most of our blocks live in a blind spot. And if they have reflected back to you, look, here's the issue. I'm going to be honest, it probably wasn't neat or clean. But if they have reflected it back to you, good. Because now during this secondary hyper manifestation season with Jupiter and Juno in conversation, and Juno creative authority, Jupiter in the sign of desire, Venus throwing magnetics all over the circumstance. If they have told you what the issue is, now you know where to work. That is perfect. Now you don't have to guess. Okay. So, yeah, I told you it was staying a little bit, but I promise you there has been accountability written all over the Venus retrograde for all of us in one shape, form, or fashion, because this Venus retrograde happened in the container of the Pluto retrograde. And that was helping all of us get to a place of understanding Pluto, where our authority and power lives in a place in our lives. Okay. And we're only going to get amplification of this as we step into 2024 and Jupiter locks into position in a perfect trine with this particular Pluto. And that's going to help us get even more powerful in our creative authority and our connections. But it starts with just taking ownership and responsibility. That's Virgo. Responsibility starts with taking ownership and having some discernment. Okay, where am I sitting on some blocks? What have I brought to the conversation? Where am I the holdup here? And that's just for those of you who want union. Like I said, I see plenty of you in my comments, video after video, watching these videos, but claiming you have walked off from your twin connection, blocked them, and shut it down. If that was true, you wouldn't be watching these videos. I'm going to invite you with so much love to check yourself. Have a good look in the mirror. Because if you can be that kind of honest with yourself at this time, I promise you, when we get to May of 2024, the turnarounds and surprises and transformations in unions, specifically between twins, is going to blow your freaking mind. But the setup for that is here. And it starts with really rolling up our sleeves, looking in the mirror, and being willing to do the work. All right, guys. Okay. Um, let's see. Yep, level of revelation unfolding through the Venus retrograde, specifically in connection for all of us. Yes, yes, yes. Mm-hmm. 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 Now you can see where your power is to make change, and Virgo is giving us that discernment, clarity, dedication to pull off the changes. Y'all, I got my wake up calls. I hope you did too. We got this. We got this. All right. I promise you, we got this. I love you guys. Thank you. Tough love came for me too. Wasn't just for you, it's for all of us. All right. So, if you heard something that resonates, definitely give the video a like. Consider subscribing. I'm here at the new and full moon to provide you with insight to navigate your journey. And if you haven't yet listened to the Lightworker Energy Update and you're scratching your head about the blocks, maybe pop over there and have a listen. Probably more illuminating and more instructional with what to do, giving more complete strategy for you. Okay. And of course, you can always book with me over at kmoonastro.com. I would love to read for you if you're stuck and need a little support in navigating this. All right. Take great care, guys. See you at the next lunation. Bye for now.